Welcome to This Is PC Gaming. Is it dead?
It is actually.
Is it done for? Austin came into my office today and he goes, Matt, I feel like I want to talk about something very near and dear to me. And that's that PC gaming kind of sucks. And I said, Austin, PC gaming is great. PC Master Race, blah, blah, blah. Our fans love PC gaming. Why would you want to talk about this? Tell me, Austin.
Okay, so I was on the super special podcast with my buddy Kyle from Bitwit the other day. He has, as a PC-focused YouTuber, has some concerns about the PC space. We actually had a really great conversation, so you should definitely be sure to go check out that video. But to sort of summarize, there are a lot of headwinds against the PC space right now. Not so much if you are a gamer and you just want to go out and buy a PC right now, like that's fine. I would say actually a lot of prices are quite low historically. Historically speaking, right now, not a bad time to buy a PC. However, you look at the long-term wins, they are changing, my friend. There's a bunch of stuff to go through here. First and foremost, I want to talk about is nVidia. Now, nVidia is approaching, if not about to actually cross over the threshold of being a $1 trillion company, largely based on their prodigious AI knowledge of building big chonkin GPUs for workstations to power your ChatGPT, but because of the literal money printing press that NVIDIA have, the AI GPU space and the, I guess really like sort of the big workstation server grade sort of stuff, everyone wants NVIDIA. If you're NVIDIA, you got to think like, oh, am I going to take advantage of my incredibly profitable workstation and server grade GPUs that I can sell for 50, 60% margin? Or am I going to spend that same amount of time and effort and money to make 10, 20, 30% on some consumer GPU just for a certain company to make it not good, and then everyone's going to return it and be grumpy about it? It seems pretty clear to me that NVIDIA, as a company who likes to make money, are going to do what makes the most money, which is not to make gaming graphics cards. To be fair, I'm not saying that NVIDIA is just going to kill off the GeForce line right now. I do think it's actually a possibility in the future. I think that there's a real argument to be had that NVIDIA is an AI company who just happens to make gaming stuff for the time being, and they will continue to do that as long as it makes them meaningful money. But as a company who, again, makes money, they have to go where the money is. And the money is in the AI space, the big boy town where people are spending $1 million on a giant pile of cards, not little Timmy who wants a $100 RTX 4050.
Apple gets a lot of shit for this. Of like, it's the difference between a consumer product and a enterprise or, you know, large scale product. When you see this of like, all right, Apple puts out like an enterprise Mac Pro. Oh wow, who would buy this? Blah 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 blah. It can't even use a GPU. Other things use PCI slots, especially when you're talking about a pro space. Not everything is meant for a consumer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Like, basically, my argument here is not necessarily that I don't think NVIDIA is going to stop making gaming graphics cards, but look at the 40 series launch. Short of the 4090, which I actually think, it's bizarre to say this, has actually kind of aged sort of well, and that performance is so ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a proper competitor for the 4090 for a long time. What you're seeing is sort of just they're going through the motions, right? Like none of these things are particularly well priced, but when you look at it from the perspective of they're doing the gaming stuff because they've had the momentum over the years, but it's not making them anywhere near as much money. And you also, I've seen some rumors that there's so much oversupply in NVIDIA's sort of like GeForce line that they're like basically rediverting all of their like TSMC orders. They're putting it all toward AI. Like, oh, you know what? We'll make some more gaming GPUs next year. We have plenty sitting around. We're not even going to make gaming GPUs for the rest of 2023. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Whereas on the flip side, they're selling every single sort of workstation and server GPU they can for piles of cash.
So much has happened in AI over the year, but like it does feel like a large chunk of it has really fallen off. I feel like a lot of the AI stuff is going to cool off. So there's this like mad rush to kind of get it up and running, but then like I think that's going to I don't think that's going to exponentially explode long term until there's like meaningful.
Well, the thing is, AI is a very broad term.
Right.
From my perspective, any decent-sized tech company is trying to acquire as many of these GPUs as possible because they're useful for a lot of things, right? It's not necessarily just like running like ChatGPT or generating images or whatever. Right. Like a lot of things like algorithms and recommendation engines and everything, a lot of this stuff can also heavily utilize GPUs. This market's not going away. It is going to continue to grow.
That's what I'm wondering is like, yeah, we had a lot happen in AI very quickly, but do you think we're going to keep that pace up? I think the pace is going to slow down significantly if everyone's not trying to build up these massive data centers. Once you have the center and things are kind of stagnant.
But they're not stagnant. Those data centers are turning over their GPUs on a 2-3 year.
Right now.
No, they always do that. Microsoft or Google or whatever, they're not going to have a data center full of 20-year-old GPUs, right? Like they're going to keep those things.
Yeah, right.
They're going to keep them moving at a really quick pace because we can consider the power budgets and everything like that. And like, oh, I can replace this rack with a newer rack, which it costs me a pile of money, but it's going to give me twice the performance, half the power cost or whatever. Let's just put the details aside. I think the general trend is this is where the money is, and this is where NVIDIA's focus is. AMD are ultimately maybe going to come out okay in this because they have such a heavy focus on gaming, and to be honest, NVIDIA do have a huge lead in the AI side. I can see AMD becoming a little bit more of like the for gamers company, whereas NVIDIA's like, we do a lot of things and we happen to do gaming on the side. But Matt, that's only just one of my arguments on why PC gaming is in a little bit of a rough place right now. My next argument is that people aren't buying gaming PCs right now. There's a lot of evidence for this. First and foremost, there was a huge cycle of upgrades in 2020 and 2021. I've heard this from numerous sources, from retail stores, from manufacturers of components, of just literally my own videos to see like the kind of views I got on PC videos in 2020 and 2021 versus 2022 and 2023.
Well, it's just because you're bad at making videos.
I think there's a real argument to be had that 2020 to 2021 cycle was a massive upgrade wave of tons and tons of people had extra cash. And you know what? When everyone upgrades their system in 2-3 years ago, they don't need a new GPU, especially if it's a very minor upgrade immediately. Maybe in 2024, 2025, 2026, a lot of those people start upgrading again. That's setting up a real sort of perfect storm for the PC that you've got now is going to be good for a longer term compared to in the past.
Counter argument there is this is the year we saw a lot of standards change. Chip sockets,
Sure.
PCI lanes, SSD speeds, stuff like that. I think over the next year, we're going to see a massive boom in PC upgrades. Because it used to be like, oh, I want to upgrade my CPU. Okay, cool. I can just do that. But now it's like, okay, well, if I want to upgrade my CPU, I might need to upgrade
board,
my
DDR5.
Yeah.
Sure.
And now I want to upgrade my GPU, but that means I also got to upgrade my entire power supply.
I'm not saying that there's zero upgrades. Like obviously,
I think
there's
we're gonna have a very different conversation in a year than we are right now.
I don't think so. So my main reason why I don't think that's the case is a very significant chunk of the audience who buy PC stuff have a system that they purchased in the last couple of years.
Every comment I see is like, oh, I'm still using like a 10 series or something like that. Like I think the scale is way more people who bought a system 4 or 5 years ago. Think about some other factors. I think you're just kind of blinded to. 2 years ago was when the prices were at their highest for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
that means the only people who have upgraded their stuff are the ones with money. They probably have the money to keep upgrading every couple of years. Because like the same people who went out and bought a 3090 are the same people who went out and bought a 4090.
Yeah, but that's like 1%.
Right, but like a lot of people waited years to upgrade their stuff for prices to come down, which is now they're starting to do right now.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is I think most people with a 3 to 4 year old system are able to play current AAA games no problem. And if you think about what the upgrade is, if you're on say a 3060, there's very little reason for you to upgrade as a gamer if you have a vaguely competent system from the last few years.
Which if you do, you have money. Like
no, but what's the upgrade you're gonna do? You're gonna go out and spend $2,000 on a 4090?
Yeah.
No, there is a lot less activity in the PC space. Fewer GPUs and CPUs and everything are being sold.
Everyone's broke. The reason things have slowed down is because people have not had money to do this. They don't have money to upgrade every couple of years.
Right.
When the target range that you're looking at is when prices were the most expensive ever.
Sure.
And then now we got new generation of stuff which is not compatible with the stuff from 5 years ago. We're about to have people who are like, all right, if I want to upgrade, I need to upgrade my entire system. And now that prices are starting to come down,
right.
I think we're going to see an actual influx in a bunch of PC sales. Now, I'm not going to argue with you that there's not going to be a lot of innovation coming from nVidia. I think you're spot on with that. Like, why would they bother with that if they're making all this? Like, I'm not arguing you there.
Yeah.
But to say that like this PC space is going to like have this like flat plateau over the next few years, I just don't think that's going to happen.
My concern here is just multifaceted in that I think that there's a whole lot less innovation. There's rumors that AMD aren't even going to do a flagship GPU next generation. There's also rumors that like the 5090 might not even be that much better than the 4090. Like the performance we have right now is likely not going to be upgraded that much. You can do the same thing looking at like going from the RTX 30 to 40 series. We're looking at like, oh, it's 5% faster. Oh, it's 10% faster.
Right.
Like minimal gains.
We've said that about every piece of tech for the past 5 years.
No, it's usually you see bigger jumps in like the PC gaming space. We're seeing smaller jumps at the moment.
You see bigger jumps, but you don't feel any of it because the games have gotten, the games kind of eat it up somewhat proportionally. I could play the modern AAA title at 45 to 60 FPS every year. It doesn't matter how how powerful your GPU is, that's kind of like your benchmark of like, can I play this on high with, you know, somewhat high frame rate? Oh, this is 50% faster, 30% faster. None of that has mattered to anyone other than tech YouTubers.
I'm not arguing that like everyone needs like a super high percentage, but if again we come back to 2020 when the new consoles or the current generation of consoles came out, those kind of set the groundwork. Typically, consoles are a big driver in pushing the industry forward, right? You know, there's a new generation of consoles. All games are gonna start targeting it. You know, you're gonna need an SSD. You're gonna need, you know, more RAM, blah blah blah, right? But those consoles just hit. All the PCs that you're going to build in this sort of 2023, 2024 space are going to be easily capable of running any game that runs on the console.
But therefore, they haven't been. The last couple of years of PC ports have been awful. And
those PC ports aren't going to be better if you've got a 4090.
Everything that you're like arguing for, like why this is, it's like, I just think it's for the wrong reasons. If PC gaming was going to suck, I think it's because developers are not porting these games right. If we want to get like real nihilist about it, it's like the industry of like crunch and like, oh, we got to get the game out and like blah blah. And most of the time the games end up being fine 3, 4, 6 months after.
Sure.
So that's why a lot of people have been liking consoles over PC right now, is just because, oh, this will actually run. I guess the silver lining to this, like say nVidia does get out of the GPU market.
Primarily, not entirely. I don't think they're not gonna like bail entirely. But yeah, sure. They stop caring as much.
So does that help developers out and say, oh, well, we really only have to optimize for AMD cards?
Boy, you know what helps most situations? A monopoly.
Everyone hates a monopoly until it works in their face. So
that's some real shit there. I think it's pretty clear that while we may disagree on some of this, PC sales are down at the moment. You know, you're not seeing massive lines outside of stores for like GPU launches. You're not seeing everyone scalping stuff, which is, to be fair, a good thing. I don't think a 500-person line for a new graphics card or a double MSRP thing, that's not healthy, right? But sales are down. And there are piles of all of these components, including GPUs, sitting on the shelves to the point where a company like nVidia can say, you know what, we're not going to make any more GPUs for a few months. We got plenty are sitting around, whatever. There's a reason then why I think a ton of companies are putting so much effort into handhelds. Not because PC gaming is dead. No, it's because they need to sell you something. You've already got a PC that works just fine, but you don't have yourself a Steam Deck competitor now, do you? I do think that there's a real argument. It's a small one. I will freely admit. I'm reaching a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm going to shut this one down real quick because
go ahead.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love cloud gaming. I love the small phone. Like I'm not a PC gamer, but I would say that I've been primarily a PC gamer because of handhelds lately.
Yeah.
So like instead of buying stuff on Xbox, I've been buying it on Steam so I can play it on my Steam Deck. Sure. I feel like even the handhelds is deceptive for how much choice you quote unquote have. The Ally, the Odin, they're all roughly the same CPU of just a different flavor. For PC handhelds to go any farther than they really are, I feel like we need some pretty big breakthroughs in thermals. I don't know how much smaller, how much better a handheld is going to really get in the next few years. So
well, I'm not saying that. You know what I'm arguing here is I'm arguing that the PC industry, we have companies such as EVGA bailing out of selling graphics cards. You see a ton of companies who are really upset with like nVidia for forcing them to make like 4060 Ti's that no one's gonna buy. I see a lot of these companies who are not making a ton of money on the PC components that they've traditionally done, really pivoting into trying to focus on another adjacent market, which is the handheld space. I don't think the handheld space is ever gonna be as big as, you know, the actual PC game spot, but it's like, you can see that there's some real stress on these companies. They're like, oh, you know what? That gravy train that we've been riding the last few years, it's not there. It's totally fine for you to buy a PC right now. In fact, if you don't have a good PC right now, it's a good time, I would say. But if you have a system which is vaguely competent, you don't really need to upgrade. And I think that the industry is going to feel that. And I think some of the longer term trends with nVidia, with AI, and just with not as much excitement, with, you know, there's not as much competition, I think that it's going to be detrimental to the space. I'm not going to say that PC dark ages are coming, but I would say that, like, I can see us having this conversation in 5 years, looking back, go, yeah, you know what? That was a pretty boring 5 years for PC gaming. You can let us know in the comments below, what do you think about PC gaming? Is Austin right, and is the gray ages coming? Or is Matt right, and that nVidia is going to make a pile of money, and that you're going to buy another 5090 because you're a stupid gamer?
That's not what I said at all.
I think I'm paraphrasing.
I'm just saying you're wrong for wrong reasons.
Did you say a bunch of buzzwords? And you said it in a confident tone so that we would all be like, yeah, Matt, you know what you're talking about. Like, wait, what? What did he say? We don't know what he said.
Buzzwords.